Hi. I wanted to talk a little bit about how to create social media harmony in your life. Um, do you ever find that scrolling social media can make you feel a bit angry, frustrated, annoyed, maybe sad sometimes, depending on the content that you're following? Do certain people's posts make you feel instantly like lower in vibration? Like you see certain things going on in people's lives and it just like tanks your mood or tanks your vibration? I learned that part of elevating the peace in my life was about discerning and being more discerning and judicious with who was having access to my energy. And that included, as I learned, I started doing it with people in my life that I see face to face. But I quickly learned that it also impacts me when I'm scrolling my social media feeds. And so part of elevating that peace was to become more judicious with who and what I was following on Facebook and Instagram. So I started making changes to my accounts so that my newsfeed would come up in a certain way. So part of it was like, I don't want to hear about people's drama and their superficial problems. It makes me focus on the negative too much. I feel what other people feel. And by taking on your pain, it causes me pain. And so having said that, I'm always happy to support the people in my life and my friends that are going through a tough time. I'm a good friend and I love them and I want them to be happy and peaceful and get past those tough times. But I'm not talking about people having honest tough times. I'm talking about people that air their laundry on their social media. I used to be one of those people, and I think probably a lot of us were. Like, part of it was my age when I came onto social media. I was in my early mid 20s, and then it was also just a sign of the times. Facebook was new. It's how people were using social media platform to sort of just like, it was an outlet for them. And so I think in general, people have changed how they use social media. But, you know, I believe that when I see someone regularly posting content that makes me feel icky, I just learn to unfollow them. It's simple. You don't have to unfriend them. You don't have to like be nasty about it. Maybe in some cases I unfriended people, but for the most part, it's just about unfollowing it so you don't have to see that content all the time. So I kind of changed how I interact with people on social media. So the people part of it, I started having just like personal friends and people that I like went to high school with on Facebook. That became where those people existed on my social media. And then I moved it so that my colleagues and the people that I appreciate, that I worked with, showed up on my Instagram feed. And initially I did that sort of so that I could post certain things on Facebook that my colleagues wouldn't necessarily be privy to, and vice versa. I could post things on my Instagram where, my friends didn't have to hear about my work life as much. Now, since then, I kind of mainstream both. We have the opportunity now to create posts on Instagram and they automatically post to Facebook. And I find that streamlining my posts and content is a lot better doing it that way. So it shifts and changes as we shift and change and grow and evolve. So that's how I deal with the people aspect of my social media accounts. But that's not the only content that comes up on your news feeds on your social media. You get hits on products that the algorithms think that you'll like. You'll get hits for different pages and groups that those algorithms pay attention to what you're clicking into and looking at and interacting with, and it makes suggestions for you. So I started adding positive, uplifting things to my to the page for the pages that I follow, and simultaneously started unfollowing other pages that didn't resonate with me as much anymore. And that's a continuing process. I'm always adding more and getting rid of things that I'm not following as much or as interested in as I used to be. So Higher Perspective is one of my favorite pages to follow. They're always posting stuff about like the universe, universal laws, energy. That's totally my jam right now. So I often use them for inspiration for our posts and content for Thrive Mind and Mindset Munchies. A werewolf is another good one. although I haven't been seeing as much content from them lately. Jon Kabat-Zinn is a good one to follow. He's like meditation, mindfulness, gratitude guru. And so you get really awesome positive stuff from that. Then I also follow pages that, like, I love hiking. I love being in nature. I love camping. So I follow like camping in British Columbia. I love Vancouver Island. I follow Amazing Nature, Amazing Geologist. There's a great page called Warrior Soul Sisters, where you get some really awesome sort of that feminine energy rising up and supporting. And then there's another awesome one called Source Messages, and they just do like a source message every day, and it's really encouraging. I recommend that one if you're like on this path for personal growth and expansion. It's a really good one because it reminds you of what you're doing, where you've come from, and where you're heading. It's always super uplifting. So those are some of the pages that I follow on Facebook. And then it's a little bit different on Instagram. I follow more influencers on Instagram. So I follow people like Jay Shetty is one of the first that I followed. He's connected to other influencers, and his podcast is fantastic if you haven't checked him out. He also wrote a book last year called Think Like a Monk. And he is just all about, his podcast is called On Purpose. And it's all about living on purpose. And so the guests that he has on are always really interesting to listen to. Dr. Joe Dispenza is another influencer that I follow on Instagram. And if you're not familiar with his work, I highly recommend him to anyone who's kind of getting into the meditation is part of what he does, but it's just more about how we have that control over our neuroplasticity. And it goes really nicely with the content that we teach in the Neurochange Method course. Napoleon Hill is another person I follow. He wrote a book a long time ago called Think and Grow Rich, and so every day there's little snippets that'll come up on my feed on Instagram that remind me about what was said in that book. And John Assaraf is another person to follow. He's another brain science growth guy. He's good. Mel Robbins has some fantastic content, and Tom Bilyeu is awesome. There's so many great things out there. Those are the people mainly that I follow on Instagram. And then I follow a few pages, like one called The Globe Wanderer. So that shows you just like beautiful places that you could travel to. Earth Focus is another one that's similar. And then there's the Business Hacks, which has just like really quick snippets about like how to be better in business, how to work smarter, I guess, not harder necessarily. And then there's a couple of sort of just like fun ones that I follow. This one page called The Witch and the Goddess, which they just have some really beautiful products. They'll make wreaths and wands and different gorgeous things using crystals and whatever. It's just like aesthetic, feel good energy content. So those are some of the things that I've done to help bring peace to my social media, and it's made a big difference in just how I'm absorbing content. And pay attention to that in your life, because what you see and what you take in, like I keep saying, everything is energy. So in any interaction you're having in the day, that impacts your energy, either positively or negatively. So look through your news feed and see what you might be able to ditch and what you might be able to bring on that you love. It's a pretty simple way. The other cool thing is, because of algorithms, the platforms will suggest other pages you might like. And so it's not like you have to go digging and looking really hard for new positive, uplifting content. Once you add some of that and get rid of some of the other content, it'll start suggesting stuff that follows through with what you're looking for. So I hope that helps, because it sure can make a difference to your day and your mood and your vibration. Have an awesome day. Peace and love.